Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring to you HB, let's see, 250. And what this does is this gives the ability of, let's see, I actually really would wish you'd give me a minute or two to refresh my memory on this, Mr. Chairman.
All right. You bone up on your proposition. Let's go to, all right, caught you off guard there. Let me see if I can figure out what mine does.
It doesn't have anything.
His does, mine doesn't. Yes, he better bone up on his. All right, let's look at, what's my number? 236.
No. Oh, yes.
250.
I'm sorry. I lied.
House Bill 236. This is something we passed out last year. Couldn't get it out of rules. Run into a little block down there. It deals with the tax commissioners in our counties, 159 tax commissioners and their employees. We currently have about 1,400 tax commissioners that are 1,475, I believe, and their employees that are members of the employee retirement system. It costs the state roughly, I think, $6 million or so a year we have to allocate state dollars to their retirement. I'm not sure how long ago this was put in statute to allow them to participate, but what we're asking now is, and a lot of these folks have dual retirement systems. A lot of them have retirement systems that are funded locally. So they're getting tax dollars from their counties to go into the retirement system, plus they're getting tax dollars from their people of Georgia to go into the state retirement system. Feel that's a little much. Last year we had a proposition that would allow those that are existing to stay in the retirement system, not going to do anything to harm the ones that are there, but just simply say that new ones that are elected after the date, and we've changed the date here to July the 1st, 2012, a newly elected tax commissioner, and we've changed this bill somewhat to allow them to make a determination. You can go into the ERS system or your local system, but we are not going to fund it out of state dollars. The locals have got to pay for it. If they want to pay two, that's up to them to make that determination, but we're not going to pay for it out of the state coffers. There's about 7 counties, I think, that do not have or do not participate in a local retirement plan, so that's why we came back and, that's why we came back and left it either way. Now, there's a bill over in the Senate that was passed out yesterday that is exactly like the bill that came before us last year. If that bill gets over here before we can get our bill out, then I've talked to the author, and my intention is to take his number and assign this bill to it, and he's okay with that. So, and I'd much rather do that than have to do it the other way. But just to let you know, his bill is exactly like the bill we passed last year. But this one is the difference in that we allow them to go into either the local or the state system, but we're not going to pay for it out of state dollars. That's pretty much the bill. Any questions on that? Yes, madam.
So, regardless, there'll be no state dollars going to tax commissioners and the other people in those categories for retirement?
Only for those that come into office. Any new ones? Yes, ma'am.
So, if they are newly elected as a tax commissioner, they will have to use the local retirement system from this point forward. What happens in those 7 counties?
No. They can come. They have the option. They can come into the state or the local, but the county pays for it. Yes, ma'am. Now they've got the option. We're giving the option here. Last year they couldn't. This year they do. Any other questions on that proposition? All right. Anybody in the audience like to speak to this bill? Anybody in the audience have a question or a concern? If not, I'm open for a motion. Yes, madam.
Mr. Chairman, I move to pass.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? We have a move and a second. All in favor, let them say an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Weldon, we're back to you.
Okay. You weren't supposed to be quite that quick there, Mr. Chairman. I guess that's why you're the chairman, huh?
Thank you, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is House Bill 250. What this does is it allows for those that are members of the Georgia Judicial Retirement System to make a spousal election to receive benefits, and that's for if they haven't made it prior to the enactment of this law or this bill, or if they make it, if they had made it previously and they're divorced, or they have a death in the family, they can, and they get remarried, they can elect to allow their spouse to be the beneficiary of these funds. And that's what it does.
Let me jump in here just a little bit. And also, I think what we've had in the past with the judicial retirement system, it was a conglomeration of different various and sundry different judicial retirement systems that were all come together back several years back. This retirement system, the people that came into it had to make the spousal determination when they joined the retirement fund. That's the only retirement system we've got that you had to decide up front when you joined how you wanted the benefits to be paid out 10, 15, 20 years after you vested and retired. You had to make that determination up front. And people that join a retirement system, naturally things are going to change circumstances in their lives over a period of time. But they had to decide when they got in what was going to happen with their retirement. What we're trying to attempt to do here is allow them to make their determination just like everybody else. When you retire, then you can decide, and you've got the options in here of option 1, 2, 3. You can take the full benefit. You can take a partial benefit. You can do like the option 3, option 4. You can 50% joint survivor. Option 2 is 66 2/3 joint survivor. And option 4, the pop-up option, which elected you if you're just spouse deceased, you could pop it back up to the 100%. Well, we handle that over on another page, I think, brother. And we're gonna let you talk to that portion when it comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they want to. Well, do they have to do it? Where's that? Yeah, if they're going to make a change to what they already have out there now, that's true. Thank you, Vice Chair. If they go back and make an election different to what they elected previously, and it's going to cost more money, they've got to pay the full actuarial cost to change the designation. And Kelly, have I missed something on that? You, Jim, y'all got anything on that I've left out on this bill?
Yeah, I think the final point that you made is an important one to cover again. Those who are currently in the plan who have failed to make a spousal election up to this point will get a window to go ahead and make that election retroactively, provided they pay the full actuarial cost. The changes that the bill is talking about with respect to making the election at retirement would be only enforced for those who are hired and have to be reliable on your side.
That pretty much sums it up, I guess. Is that correct? We got questions from the committee. Not too tired. You're not getting in it. We're going to have a good explanation. We're going to let Gerald write the good explanation of the spousal pop-up benefit before Representative Welton goes to the well on this one. All right?
I'm sure I'm going to need that.
I do have a question. With the other plans, do they allow for like we're doing now, so we're doing it up front here at the end?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is making it match those other plans.
Jim? Yeah, that's always been a problem. I've always had a problem with that these guys had to make a determination up front, and every time I've looked at it these last 4 years, I've been trying to, figure a way. We just need to change this. It's not fair to make them make a determination, 15, 20, 30 years up front.
I was just wondering if there were going to be any more that we have to fix.
Yeah. And we have a gentleman here to speak to this bill. Mr. Gunter, would you like to speak to the bill, sir?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity to talk to you today. I am a former district attorney. I'm currently serving as the executive director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council. I had to make that election 13, 14 years ago, and you just don't have enough information at that time. I made a bad choice as I've looked at it over the years, and I've always regretted it and wanted to go back and add my spouse into the retirement system, but I've not had an opportunity to do that. It's going to give me that opportunity, and I think it's a good bill allowing us to go back and cover the cost. I understand that. I just got to see if I can afford to do that. But it's a good thing, I think, to, as you said, your family situation changes over the years, and you might want to do something different. So this allows me to correct what I believe is a mistake I made all those years ago. So I think that's a good part of the deal. Seems to be some things in here that would answer some of the questions that we get from council regarding retirement. And I think the options of anyone coming in after July, I think are good options for the deals sitting there making choices. I'll answer your questions.
Anybody have questions, Mr. Gunter?
I do, Mr.
Okay, yes, sir.
Mr. Gunner, can you just comment on the ability of the state to be able to compete for talent coming into the judiciary, well, the retirement system, but also is be able to offer this as an incentive for folks to come to work for district attorneys?
That's correct. The district attorneys at that level, the pay is, a lot of times they can do a lot better in private practice. I was in that situation, but I made a choice to serve my community, and I ran at that time. So having benefits like this that they may not be able to pick up in private practice, this is a good thing to have. It's a carrot. It's one of those things that you look at when you try to make a decision to run for office.
Okay. And where do you live, sir?
I live in Blairsville, Georgia.
Oh, okay. All right. But work, I guess, down here at the Prosecuting Attorneys Council, so you're in Atlanta a lot.
I made my decision a while back not to ever commute down here again, so I live in a condo.
Okay. Smart man, yeah. Anybody else in the audience like to speak for or against the bill? Anybody else for or against this proposition? All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here, taking time to come over. We're waiting. We're at this time where we need to move. We got to move to pass. All right. How about Doc? You could second that. Discussion. Any more discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed, like sign. All right. That completes basically our agenda. Anybody else have anything to speak to us about today? Anybody in the audience? I got a proposition I want to pass out to everyone that's here, and let me go over it with you. We're not going to vote on this today, but this is a substitute I'm offering to House Bill 183. Where's my learned attorney? I saw him come in. Thank you. You may have to come up and help me out on this, Dave. I don't know if I got all the wherewithals here or not.
One more.
This is the proposition about the legislative retirement that we passed out this summer and sent for a actuarial study. And
Do we have it back?
originally in the bill, we had drafted it so that everybody that came into the legislature would be required to become a member of the legislative retirement system. We've had problems down through the years. People come in, they don't sign up when they first come in. A term or two down the road, they say, well, as the gentleman stated before, I made a bad decision. I need a window of opportunity to go back and allow me to correct the mistake I made. Well, that window is just not there. When you made that decision to opt out, you were out, and that was it. So we originally thought that we'd go forward and say, all right, by golly, we're just going to say you don't have that window. You come into, when you're hired, you're like every other state employee. It's my understanding, talking with state health benefit plans and everybody else, that when a person comes in, they automatically into retirement systems. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. But as a deliberative body that we are, we try to give people choices, and sometimes they make good choices, sometimes they make bad choices. Sometimes they want those choices to be made right for them. Anyway, and some people have philosophical problems. They're down here to serve the state. They don't feel like they want to take retirement benefits. Now, y'all do understand all the retirement benefits, all the money we draw out is money we paid in. There's no state dollars going into this program. It's totally what we pay in, plus the great job our investment people do in trying to improve on that. But I say all that to say that I've changed the bill. So what we have now before us, it came to me a few days ago, or a week or so ago, in discussions with this, that we are hired every 2 years. Right? We go before the voters, and we're hired every 2 years. Some people apply for the job. Some people decide they don't want to apply. Some people apply to come back down here and don't get rehired. Voters say, we don't want you back. But every 2 years, we basically step into this position as a new employee. We've been rehired. So what I've attempted to do in this bill right here, and I may have to get my legislative counsel to help me explain it, because I've read through it. I think what we've asked for is in here. I know he struck out the Section 1. There's a lot of striking out in Section 1 that, but anyway, I'll let Dave go through this. Bottom line, what I'm asking for in this bill is every 2 years, upon your reelection as a legislator, you have the opportunity to come in and join the legislative retirement system. All right, that's the only thing. After you're elected, the open enrollment for that year, you can join the legislative retirement system. If you do not join, 2 years later, you're back in the General Assembly. You have an opportunity to join. If you don't join in 2 or 3 terms, and then you decide you want to join, you can't go back and buy that time back. You have got to still be 8 years vested. We're not changing any vesting anything. You still got to have your 8 years in LRS to be vested. It's just that every 2 years when you're rehired, you will have the opportunity to come before or go and apply to be a member of the legislative retirement system. There is a one-time opportunity in here to allow people that had previous service or are current members now to pay the full actuarial cost and buy back time they had in a previous life as a legislator, or if there's people here now that did not join and want to buy into the plan, there's a window of opportunity between now or when this bill is signed and December the 31st of this year. After that, that window's gone, and you can elect to come in every 2 years. Did that pretty much sum it up?
That's perfect, Mr. Chairman.
Don't tell me that. But now, where is that in this legislation? Okay, go through the sections if you would. Section 1 is where we're striking over. Would you explain to us what we're doing in these different sections?
Section 1 kind of embeds the history of members of the General Assembly being members of the LRS. And at one time, they were in the ERS, then back in the LRS, back in the ERS, and there was some flip-flop there, and all of that's kind of embedded in this. That just takes that whole section out because it's irrelevant with the rest of this bill. The page 3, where it defines staff members, that's another historical oddity that is simply taken out. Secretary said the clerk of the House are not an LRS, ERS. The operative language is on page 4, where it says each person, the first or again, becomes a member of the General Assembly after 12. That means somebody who's elected for the first time or somebody who sat out a while and come back. And they have 2 months to make an election. And that election recurs every time the member comes up here and takes the oath of office. Because, as the chairman said, you're kind of rehired every 2 years. If you do that, you don't get credit for the prior years. If you were here one session and you do not elect membership, second time you come up, you elect membership, you don't get prior credit for what you didn't do before. So there's no going back. You still have to you count your time going forward. And then down on line 129, they
talk about the current members, and this is saying, look, guys, this is a one-time thing. We've heard the term irrevocable decision before. Sometimes they revoke, but this is an irrevocable decision. You get an opportunity to come in. You want prior service, you have to pay for it. But this is supposed to be the last shot. I think Mr. Chairman's
While I'm here,
this is it. Pay attention. You got to do it now, or you don't. That's for the prior service. I guess if you come back next term, you can start all over again, which is not as attractive for some older members as I think it used to be. And then the next section, the members of the General Assembly, if they're retired under the LRS, they can't come back and work for the state, and this is a notification thing. If an employer or state agency hires a member, they have to notify the retirement system, so the retirement system knows to suspend the retirement.
now that's section 4, correct? And that's pretty standard is that just in the legislative retirement, or is that?
It's pretty standard. In fact, I think we might be seeing one on the Police Officers Union Benefit Fund, so it says the same thing. Other systems have it. It basically says if you become ineligible, or if somebody hires you to make you ineligible, they have to notify the retirement system so they know what to do.
Let me ask a question. That doesn't affect the members that have been in the General Assembly. We're here, I think we had one or two maybe at one time that had, well, no, we're state employees. I think we had a question about a state employee at one time that was drawing retirement and also in the LRS. But did we have a retired legislator at one time drawing and came back to work? There was a question about that last year or sometime, wasn't there?
I do not remember, but this is really a notification. This doesn't grant or take away a right. It just requires notification.
This requires notification to the retirement system if they go to work full-time somewhere else. Okay. All right, we're not going to vote on this today, but are there any questions? Yes, sir.
I'm leaving, but I want to make sure
What do you mean? You're not going to get your retirement then?
No, Sheila's been sending me a thing every year showing how much I would get if I retire, so I'm assuming mine's okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When I got elected and started serving in 1993, I have never, to my knowledge, reapplied.
No, sir. One time, if you did it that time, you're in forever.
Why are we changing that? That's the safety net.
Well, this is changing it for those people that did not apply, that did not elect to come into the retirement system. It's not affecting anybody that's in there or anybody that's going to be in there. It's just some people come into the legislature, and the first 2 terms or so, they say, well, I don't want any benefits. I don't want anything. Yes, sir.
There's one point I left out. If a member reapplies or becomes a member of the system every 2 years, then he or she is treated as if there's been no break in service.
Right.
It's a continuous.
Right, that 8 years bills, and you still, there's no change in the vesting requirements of 8 years. You still got to have 8 years in there. Now, if you get elected and serve 4 years and you're in LRS, and then you lose for a term and come back, if you don't draw your money out, you've got your 4 years in there, and you can accumulate 4 more and be vested.
On line 112, it says that any member of this retirement system who elects to continue membership. That kind of makes it sound like you got to do something every 2 years. Am I reading it wrong?
Well, we may need to change that then, if that's the case. If my intention is that if they sign up and they come back and re-elected, they don't have to go up and sign up again. It's a window, though, for those that didn't sign up. Do we need to reword this again?
If that's what you wanted, yes, sir.
Wait, is that what everybody?
That was my concern.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up then. Yeah, that's why I wanted our attorney to go over this. Thank you, madam. Now, my thinking is, and what do y'all think, that if you join and you come back again, you shouldn't have to go fill out anything. You're just automatically in there. As long as you stay in. Would that be a problem with the, you would prefer it that way? You got less paperwork for you guys to deal with if we don't reapply every 2 years. So can we draft that up in a way?
And I misunderstood your instructions. I'll change that.
Okay.
Quick.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is to the Learned Council. what kind of, if we just took out and who elects to continue membership, so it would read any member of this retirement system who is elected to a consecutive term of office shall be deemed to have had continuous membership service. Well, that takes care of the, you know.
I might even put something more affirmative than that you don't have to apply words achievement.
Yeah. Well, I think she's exactly right on her. That's a good catch there. So say something affirmative about the folks who have not gone and fulfilled that and who elects to continue membership. I don't know how we do that statutorily and get it effective retroactively.
Well, it wouldn't be effective retroactive.
It'd just be, it's not going to be retroactive. It'll be that
People that are retroactive are the people that are here right now.
Well, I guess taking a devil's advocate on this, if we were supposed to do something to elect to continue membership, who is elected to a consecutive term of office?
my
I
plan
mean,
is,
yeah, I don't know how I'd fix that.
That's all in the future. Right now, you're a member, you don't have to elect every year, and this doesn't change anything, so it ain't
Mhm.
confused. I will
Okay, yeah.
simply change this so that it doesn't change that.
right, and then those that did not sign up will have an opportunity every 2 years on election. If you did not become a member, you have the opportunity to go and join. Basically, is what we want. If you're there, no, nothing is needed.
But their 8 years
That's
starts
right.
after they sign up. That's
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah, that's the
If
key.
they've been in 8 years, they didn't sign up, they gotta go 16 to get it.
That's right.
Unless they buy it back.
No, we ain't.
If this gets enacted
No,
on a
they don't buy
one-time deal.
it back under this. You got a one-time opportunity for people that are here now.
Right.
The opportunity for buying back is for people now. I don't want a window of opportunity every
Every 2 years, okay.
No.
Correct.
We got a
Now you
Okay.
one time now. If you better take advantage of it, otherwise, as long as I feel like I'm here, we're gonna close that out.
That's if this passes, we'll have the ability to, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. Good question. Anything else? So we're not voting today, but we'll get legislative council to change that wording, and then I'll get this out to all y'all again, because I want you to sort of digest it and mull it over. Yes, sir.
Richard Royal again. I just want to warn you not to get comfortable with our retirement, because after 25 years in the house, after they deduct my insurance, I get about $600 a month. Don't spend it on me.
Appreciate that. That's good advice.
Yeah. Don't depend on this for a livelihood when you leave the house, right? Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask a question. If, I guess this will go to TRS, the full-time return to work, we have that, it's going to sunset pretty soon, but I'd like to ask our retirement system, what money comes to the retirement system from the return to work full-time employees? And do we get anything, and how bad is it hurting them?
Well, it's not hurting us.
It's not hurting
From a financial standpoint. For the laws you're referring to, with your sole responsibilities, classroom teacher, and a couple of other, possessions, you sit out a year and you come back.
Right.
We're getting the employer has to pay us employee contribution plus employer contribution.
So you're getting the money from them?
We're getting money from them.
May I ask you, there's one other question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I thought in this legislation, you said they couldn't come back as coaches, we were trying to that, and I'm finding some systems where they're calling them teachers, but they're doing weightlifting all day.
Well,
Brass for football.
Brooks, that's the issue we have, not only in.
Well, that's education.
And we ride herd over it as close as we can. We've got Department of Audits, and they go out to the school systems, they're looking at this for us. We have some people out there that do the what-if scenarios.
Right.
They explain to them, this is what you can legally do, and then they'll say, well, what if?
Yeah.
And then what if
Yeah.
you do this? And it takes up a lot of our time, to be honest with you.
Let me ask two more then. How about halftime? How does that hurt us as far as retirement?
He just said he didn't want to coach him.
Considered members.
But would we, if they were, if they weren't halftime in the school, would we have a full-time pay in retirement?
Not necessarily. I mean, it just, if you had a situation where, you hired two halftime
Yeah.
people to fill a position,
Something doing that.
you could make an argument that
does.
But not her.
But generally what we see is it's just somebody that's coming in, half-time and is doing, various duties, at a school, and that wouldn't have any impact.
I've heard one other question. I've heard from some people that the reason we implemented these return to work because we had such a shortage of teachers. But I understand now, I've been told by the governor's office that we have a surplus of teachers. Not the governor, but is that true, do you think? Have you heard we have a surplus and can't get jobs?
Well, but because of the economic conditions over the past several years, if you look at our youngest members, the numbers are down drastically, with 1 or 2 years of service than what it was 3 or 4 years ago. So if you assume that the schools are putting out the same amount of educators, teachers, and you had the same workforce back then, with it being fewer new ones coming in, then I think you could easily say that that's not the case.
That a lot of them can't get jobs.
Yeah. Now, you could probably go into certain disciplines, and there's still
a shortage, right?
Particularly in the rural counties trying to do science and math and especially those type of positions.
All right, sir.
You got one more back there, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Anybody in the audience? Tom, you have a question? Okay. We'll get you the corrected verbiage on this bill right here. That'll be all right. We'll get that to you, and then we'll think about it. If y'all got questions about it, come see me this week. Original mandate, original requirement. Okay.
Well, the way that we're handling the one time, and then it just takes care of it every 2 years. People that have to bother them.
Yeah, and it
Sign up.
well, I just
I like that.
thank you. But if you have questions when we get this out, we'll probably be voting on this one next Wednesday. We'll have a couple other bills that are being dropped, and maybe we'll get something over from the Senate. But we'll see what happens. Anything else? Thank y'all. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Have a good Valentine, everybody.